All right, welcome to Developer Roadmaps. Every journey in web development has to start somewhere, right? Well, that starting point is HTML. Today, we're going to lay that very first foundational stone on your path by really understanding the language that builds the entire web.
So, in our last checkpoint on the developer roadmap, we talked about how your browser goes out and asks a server for a web page. But what does it actually get back? What's inside that file it receives?
Well, it gets back a document written in a language that pretty much every browser on the planet knows how to read, and that language is HTML. So today, we're going to decode that language and see exactly how it builds the websites we use every single day.
To really wrap our heads around HTML, it helps to start with a good analogy. And honestly, the best one is to think of it as the skeleton of a web page.
I mean, think about it. Your skeleton gives your body its shape, its framework, right? HTML does the exact same thing for a web page. It provides the fundamental structure for everything you see. Without it, all you'd have is just a big, chaotic blob of text and images with no organization at all.
Okay, so what does this acronym, HTML, actually stand for? It's Hypertext Markup Language. Now, the hypertext part is super important. That's what lets you click a link and jump to another page. It's literally what makes the web a web. But for right now, the most important part for us is that ML, markup language. That's the real key to understanding how a page gets put together.
And you know, this brings us to a super important point that trips up a lot of beginners. HTML is a markup language, which is very different from a programming language.
So, what's the real difference? Let's go back to that house analogy. Think of HTML as the architect's blueprint. It says, there's a wall here, a door here, a window over there. It just defines the structure. A programming language, something like JavaScript, is more like the electrical system. It's the logic that makes things happen. It's what says, if someone flips this switch, then turn on the light. See the difference? HTML describes what something is, and a programming language describes what to do.
Okay, so now we know what HTML is for, let's dive into its core building blocks. You're going to see these three things everywhere: tags, elements, and attributes.
Let's kick things off with tags. A tag is basically a command you give to the web browser. It's wrapped in these angle brackets, and it tells the browser how to display something. It's like saying, hey browser, this next bit is a heading, or start a new paragraph right here. And usually they come in pairs. You have an opening tag to say start here, and a closing tag to say and stop here. Take a look here. The P tag is for a paragraph. See how the closing tag is almost the same, but it has that little forward slash? That's how the browser knows the paragraph is ended. Oh, and a quick side note, while tags aren't technically case sensitive, the standard, what everyone does, is to write them in lowercase. It just keeps things clean and consistent.
All right, so when you put it all together, the opening tag, the actual content in the middle, and then the closing tag, that whole unit is called an HTML element. It's the complete package, the whole shebang.
So this entire line you're looking at, that is a single paragraph element. The P and P tags are the tags. They're like the bookends. The element is the entire thing, text and all.
But what if you need to give the browser a little more information? Not just what something is, but some extra detail about it. Well, that's what attributes are for. Think of them like little sticky notes with extra info attached to your elements. You always put them inside the opening tag, and they follow this simple name equals value format. Check this out. Here, we've added a title attribute. The attribute's name is title, and its value is extra information. So what does this do? Well, in a browser, if you were to hover your mouse over this paragraph, a little tooltip would pop up with that exact text. Attributes are how we add these powerful extra layers of detail.
Okay, like with any language, there are a few special cases and rules of the road you need to know about. Let's go over a couple of the big ones you'll run into.
First up, comments. Sometimes you need to leave notes in your code, right? Either for your future self or for other developers on your team. That's what comments are for. The browser completely ignores them. They're totally invisible on the web page. They're just for us humans. The syntax is a little weird. Just notice how it starts with an angle bracket and an exclamation point, and then it's surrounded by double dashes.
So this brings up a pretty interesting problem. We know that the less than symbol, that less than character, is special. It's used to start a tag. So how in the world do you actually display one on the page without confusing the browser? The solution is something called an HTML entity. These are basically special codes for reserved characters. So, to display a less than sign, you wouldn't type the symbol itself. Instead, you'd type its entity name and LT, which stands for less than.
Another one you'll see a lot is NBSP, which is a non-breaking space. It's a way to force a space to exist where the browser might otherwise ignore it.
And hey, speaking of spaces, this is a perfect time to talk about Whitespace. That's just the fancy term for all the spaces, tabs, and line breaks you put in your code.
So, have a look at this code. It's kind of messy, right? There are a bunch of extra spaces between hello and world, but here's the thing, that's totally okay. You can add as many spaces or line breaks as you want in your HTML file to make it easier for you to read.
Because when the browser gets a hold of it, it performs something called white space collapse. It takes all those extra spaces and squishes them down into just one. So even though our code looked messy, what the user actually sees is a perfectly normal hello world. This is a really important concept. The white space in your code is for developers, not for the final output.
And that brings us to our first major checkpoint on this journey. Let's do a quick recap of the essentials we've just covered.
Okay, if you remember one thing today, remember this flow. It all starts with tags. Tags are used to create elements. Those elements hold your content. And finally, elements can have attributes to give them extra information. Think of this as a checkpoint on your developer journey. You now understand the fundamental anatomy of any web page.
You've just completed your first checkpoint on the HTML roadmap. In our next explainer, we're going to take all these pieces and actually build a proper, complete HTML document from scratch. We'll explore the essential tags like doctype, HTML, head, and body that form the true skeleton of every single web page on the internet. Join me for the next step on your journey. This is Developer Roadmaps. Map your path, build your career.